Alright guys, we're back with part 6 of the B74 build. We are going to start bag 10 today, which is the turnbuckles, and then we're going to go bag 11, which is the center slipper and mounting it in the car. We're going to start with the turnbuckles, bag 10. Did rip this open earlier because these turnbuckles came with the yellow tag there, so I just threw them in with these ones before. This bag 10 is just the turnbuckles. We got a few sizes here. I'll probably speed this along once I show you guys how I build, one of them, because once you build one, you built them all, pretty much all the same. Do have some different sizes here. So we got one short one, 2 longs, and 2 in the medium. So take note on that. And then we got all our ball cups here. Break these off the tree. Alright, so we gotta build the Servo link first, which is the shorter turnbuckle, 15 millimeter gap. If you guys have a caliper, this would be a good time to use it. Measure the distance between the turnbuckle ends. Go ahead and throw these together. I'm gonna show you guys how I do it. We'll start with this one. I have to use a drill, okay, and then I stick the turnbuckle into the drill chuck, like so. I have to crank it down. You do have to remember these turnbuckles are left and right hand threaded. See, this one is a left hand thread. And I send it on. Obviously I can't measure it when I do that, so I have to do that afterward. But actually this end will fit in the drill truck too. And then throw this end on, like so. That's how I build it in the drill. Now we're gonna have to measure this with the caliper, which I grabbed over here. Alright, so I grabbed the caliper. Mine is a little on the beat side here, but still works. So it tells us to set the gap at 15 millimeters. Go ahead and set this to 15 here, and I'm going to clamp it close as you can to 15. And we check the gap. So it's actually pretty close with this one. Looks like I gotta screw it in just a little bit. And that's about right there. And then the book is telling us to put it at an orientation like so. Now, I do want to touch on something about the turnbuckles. Let's see if I can find it. I'll use this one. The turnbuckles do have a little groove cut in them. This is pretty important. If you look at the book, it'll show the groove as well, so make sure you build them accordingly. Basically, that groove just tells you which direction the turnbuckle is in the cups. So when you put them on the car and you go to adjust the car, when you're turning the turnbuckles, they will all turn the same direction and do the same movement in or out. If you put them all on opposite, it gets very confusing to adjust your turnbuckles. Then we got to build the other ones here. Step 10, or bag 10, step 2. Wants us to build the, 45 millimeter turnbuckle, which is just these ones. The longer ones are 48s, which I believe are just for the steering. Oh no, looks like they go in the back. But anyway, wants us to build the 45s first. See, the drill makes that go by a lot faster. We got the two 45s that asked for. So I'm gonna measure those. They're supposed to be 23.3. I set this to 23.3. Or 22.3, excuse me. Again, this part is not super critical. If you're a little off when we adjust the car on the setup thing, this will not really matter because we adjust to the degrees of toe and camber. That's pretty close. There we go. These are set, and then it wants us to put them on the car and orient them differently here, like that. These ones are going to be, let's see, looks like these ones are the upper rods here, or the front end. So this time we have to make sure the dog bones are in the car. Move these over here. To make sure the dog bones is in, I'm going to pop these babies on. You may or may not need to use pliers for this part, depending on the cup. I mean, I've had some that pop right on, like these ones, they work pretty good. But I've had some that really are a pain. So this is where you gotta pay attention to that groove when you're putting these on. Make sure you put them all on, you know, one side there. It doesn't really matter which direction you do, just make sure they're all the same. Yeah, like so. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that steering one on there too. Like that. We gotta build the next set, which is the 45 millimeter turnbuckle, and we gotta use an angled cup. Looks like the angled cups have an L and an R on them. So make sure we put the right one in the right spot. Using the last two 45s. I'm gonna pop that in my drill. And let's see. This is where you have to take note of that line because you want to build them with the right end on there. I want this gap to be pretty tight, so I'm going to give it a little extra there. I'm going to make sure I'm building these the correct direction. This one's gonna go this way. Ooh. This one's gonna go this way. And this one will go this way. Alright, so we got these turnbuckles. They want them to be 20.8. Zero this out, make it 20.8. Close enough. Got that one first try, and got them both on the first hit there on 20.8. That was just pure luck. We go ahead and put these on. These are the steering ones. It looks like the notch goes pointing inward on the car. Orientate the cups the right direction. Like so. Make sure you match the groove so they're all going the same direction. Also find if you're really having trouble getting these on, you heat them up, hair dryer or lighter or something like that, they'll pop on a lot easier. Just don't heat them up too much so they'll melt. So there we got the front turnbuckles all done. We just got to build the set for the back. And the back ones are our 48 millimeter turnbuckle. They just use the regular ends. And we're going to go ahead and build those. Go. Once these ones set to 25.2. We're a little small on this one. Now these are the back turnbuckles. You gotta put those dog bones in, make sure the dog bone's in, otherwise you're gonna be popping them back off again. Note the groove there, notch or whatever they call it. Pop these on. There we go. Everything should still move free at this point. There we go. We got our turnbuckles on the car. Everything looks pretty good. You shouldn't have any crazy camber or anything like that. It should be pretty close. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can always adjust it after with the gauges and stuff. But that completes the bag 10. Now we're going to do bag 11, get into the slipper clutch. I'm going to set the car off to the side because the clutch does take a minute to build here before we put it in. I'm going to go ahead and grab bag 11, which is the clutch that I got right here. Now it looks like the gears came in that other bag there with the yellow tag. So if you can't find those, that's where mine were. We're going to go ahead and pop this bag open. Nice straight line cut there. Alright, got some carbon pieces, some aluminum pieces. I got a bag without drives. The clutch plates, this looks like a 3-shoe clutch on this car. Or, yeah, 3-pad clutch. I suppose they're not shoes in this. Screws, and this has got a couple gears and a spring in it. We got 2-size gears here and a spring. Looks like we got a 72 and a 78. I'm gonna go ahead and build it with the 72 just because we're running it. I'm gonna run this in stock, probably 13.5. If you're running mod, you probably want to throw that 78 in there. I'll run the 72 geared accordingly with the pinion. There we go. Let's build the slipper clutch. Divide up these screws a little bit for me here. Not too many screws this time, some pins, little set screws. Probably gonna need some Loctite going, so I'm gonna get that open. Alright, so first step, we got the long out drive, followed by this slipper nut. So you're gonna thread this baby on here. It says thread the slipper nut all the way down the shaft. Nice. Put the spring on. And it's looking like we gotta throw a pin in there. Guessing right above that spring. A little hard to tell, there's 3 holes in there, but I'm right above the spring. We got the plate with the plate with the bump out on it here is gonna sit on that pin, like so. And it looks like we gotta throw a pad on. Pad the middle plate. It's gonna be a little hard because these pads got a bit of a bow in them, so bear with me here. This is a tricky part. And then we got to put the spur gear on. Spur gear does have a raised edge on one side, not the other, because it wants the raised edge to go down. Try to get these all line up. I have to fiddle with this for a minute. There you go. Just make sure the slipper pads sit in the gear properly. Alright, make sure you gotta keep some pressure on this, otherwise it'll fall right apart on us at this point. Now wants us to put in this next pad and the last plate, like so. And the pin. I'm gonna go throw it. Looks like I can put the pin on first. Might need my needle nose. No, not bad. Slid that pin in first. The directions don't really say, but it looks like that's the easier route. Yeah. So I slid the pin in before I put the pad and the plate on, and then the plate sits in that pin. So we got so far, and I'm holding it together at the moment. And then we got to put the out drive on. Looks like it's gonna slide over and lines up with that last pinhole. I'll line it up. There you go. Get that little hole to line up in there. I have to put some pressure on that. Oop. Put some pressure on that spring. There we go. At this point, the pin's holding it all together. I'm holding the pin in the out drive. And it looks like it's pinched with a set screw from the inside. I'll grab the 1/5, small grub screw, bit of Loctite there. And this is gonna pinch that pin. Snug that up good. And there we go, we got that. Pinching the pin, so now it's all held together. It's really loose, but you can actually see the function of the slipper clutch here. So basically it allows the gear to spin within the 2 plates. Gives it a clutch feel, so it gets rid of some of the bottom end. So if you're running modified, mostly for modified, and you don't want your car to wheelie, you can back that off and it'll stay more on the ground. 13.5, we usually end up just tightening them down, locking them out, but depends on your driving style. And then it has us throwing the bearings on at the last two 10x15s, like so. And then it wants us to tighten this nut down. I'll use my little pliers for this. And this shaft does have the shaft has a flat spot in it, and then we're gonna pinch this nut on with a small set screw. Just keeps it from backing out. And like I said, I'm running this in 13.5, so I'm gonna crank it down probably a little further than if you're running modified. But again, we're gonna adjust this later on. It says to set it 1.8 to 2. I'm gonna go a little heavy on this, just because I've run this car a couple times and I know. I'm gonna do it a little further. Feel free to set it to the book. I just, in stock racing, I don't care for too much slipper. I'm gonna tighten that down so now the nut can't back off. Get that bearing back on there. And there's the completed slipper clutch in the B74. Let me set it aside. Looks like he wants us to bring the car back in and set up the motor mount. Alright. We got 4 3x8 screws coming in on the bottom. 2mm driver. So it looks like it's got the front of the car pointed this way, so I'm going to orient it the same way. The small mount first. It is not completely symmetrical. There is a groove right here that's going to capture the bearing. So just take note on that. Let's see if it says anything in here. It is definitely a little tricky to tell, but this from the past. I'm going to put the groove towards the front of the car. I know that's going to keep the bearing from flinging out. Kind of see it in the book, but it's a little tricky. A little Loctite on that. I'm gonna wait to tighten that one up. There's the first motor mount in. This should slide. That just slides out. That's what the motor will mount to later on. And then we're going to go ahead and put this one in. It uses the 4 most center screws. Remember, go easy on the Loctite if you ever have to pull this stuff back out. A lot of Loctite does not make it easy. There we go. Motor mount's installed, Loctited in. Now it wants us to drop in the slipper. Looks like we got the spring going towards the front of the car. We do have to insert the drive shafts at this point. Don't forget to do that. You'll be taking it back apart again. Should drop right in, nice and smooth. Those grooves keep the bearings from coming out. And then we have the top deck piece here to clamp it all together. Oops, goes this way. Obviously the wide part goes around the gear, like so. And then it's got 4 3x8 screws on the top. Send those in. tighten. Like so. Now we got the old drivetrain spinning now. Should be pretty smooth. I hear a little noise, not a big deal. Feels pretty smooth though, should feel consistent. Shouldn't have any notches in it. All our turnbuckles are on, all the arms are now connected. Everything's spinning free. Differentials feel good. And there we go. Make sure there's no more steps here. Nope, it has us going on to bag 12, which is going to be the shocks. So that'll be in the next part of the video. We're gonna build all the shocks. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.